You're listening to Enlivening Musings, a podcast to enhance your life so you live fully alive. Sponsored by the Pleasure Fairy app. Download it for more support. Welcome to Enlivening Musings. I'm Crystal.
And I'm Katie.
And today we have a lovely guest, Alison Rothman. She is the founder of Embody Life. She is a body-centered holistic coach utilizing her extensive studies, experience, and firsthand knowledge of the capacity within the human body and spirit to heal. Alison provides clients with the ability to access their inner resources and release debilitating life patterns in order to reclaim their body, mind, spirit, and heart connection. She's a longtime practitioner of the healing arts with over 2 decades of study and experience in the realm of the body through yoga and dance, meditation, natural healing modalities, and somatically based holistic wellness therapies. She's a coach, teacher, facilitator, guide, mentor, and mom who is passionate about supporting others in living a life connected and aligned with the truth of who they are. Her approach is transformational, embodied, and honoring of the whole person, accentuated by her vast experience and expertise in the realm of holistic wellness and embodiment practices, which you all know we are all about up in here. Today, we're going to be talking with Alison about why approaching healing of trauma and addictions holistically is crucial for sustainability. I'm going to give you a quick warning. We are going to be getting into eating disorders, so if you're not ready for that type of a topic, come back to this when you are. And welcome, Alison. We are so happy to have you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. I am very honored and excited to dive in here.
I love it. Well, let's go right into it all. I would love for you to explain to everyone what healing sustainably even means.
It's good. Yeah, I mean, we talk about sustainability and, on the planet, and how can we live in a way that's sustainable across the, and there's so much going on right now. I'm not going to get into that, but, the way that I look at healing sustainably is that we can't just tear a Band-Aid off and then everything's okay, right? So we work in layers so that we can take the time to really integrate and embody the different layers of our healing along the journey. And that way they just become part of who we are as we're moving forward, right? So it's not like, you handle a particular issue and it's done, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's we open up, a particular layer, and then we work with that layer. And so then we move forward some, and then we move backward some. But the goal is to come into this balance and this integrity in ourselves so that we can move through our lives in this place of this is who I am, as we're moving along the healing journey. So, we don't want to, I'm queen of it. In the early days of my eating disorder recovery, I would be in therapy, I would make progress, and then I would crash, right? Mm-hmm. Because I wasn't really dealing with everything that needed to be dealt with. I wasn't taking it into my body. I wasn't integrating it in a way that kept me moving forward in a sustainable way. It wasn't until I came into that holistic realm that I was like, oh, this is what it means to, keep progressing in my healing journey while simultaneously embodying, this new level of being, this new way of being, which makes it sustainable, which makes it, provides the platform for this alignment along our healing path. So I don't know if that makes sense. That was a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. No, that was great. And I think it needed that whole picture. I think, when people, first, I think the word embodiment and things get kind of thrown around and people don't always even really understand what that is. And we've touched upon it where it's like, okay, well, you're bringing it to the body. It's where you're getting it deep into your bones. It's where you really have it, And yet I feel like it's so much more than that. Like, that's just this simplistic, easiest way to get someone to start to understand it, because even the word embodiment, I feel, has its own journey of how much you embody embodiment.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always say it's become the most overused term, people are really like throwing it around, that it is so much deeper than, yes, we need to get into our bodies to heal. Absolutely. But embodiment is who we are. It is about breathing with ourselves. It's about allowing ourselves to rest into um, the truth of who we are. Yes, it's through the body, absolutely. But you can say, what if somebody, has no connection, is in an injury and loses access to movement, so they can access embodiment though, absolutely. It's not about, I think it's become this, oh, you have to be moving and that's why how you're embodied, no, it's about learning how to really sit with ourselves and be with ourselves. And there's no gap between who we are when we are still, when we are, as moms, when we are as practitioners, when we are grocery shopping, whatever it is, and our embodiment. It's like we are just who we are. And that to me encapsulates like true embodiment.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
love that.
Mhm.
So I would like to hear just more about your journey. I mean, when did you start struggling with eating disorders? Did it start with body image? Can you just kind of share more with us about what that looked like for you?
Sure. So, really, at age 7 is when I became hyper aware of my body, of my weight. I tell the story a lot. In 3rd grade, I had a teacher who weighed all the students and put our weights up on the board. I know,
Oh my
appalling. Yeah,
gosh.
like,
I feel like I remember something like that too, now that you say that.
Like during, I think during, there was like some sports week or something that we did, and we'd have to do like push-ups and run the mile and all. Yeah,
Wow.
I vaguely remember something
Mhm.
too. Okay.
no, totally. I mean, I think, they don't, the adults in that realm don't really understand the impact that something like that could have. I
Right.
mean, I remember so clear, I was 73 pounds, I
Wow.
was tall, I was much taller than everybody else at that time, but I weighed more. So I was like, oh my God, I weigh more than all these people, So and I grew up as a dancer. So it just kind of like fed on one thing after another. And so I just became super obsessed about it and kind of wavered between anorexia and bulimia for years and years. Somehow graduated high school, went away to college, and things got really bad. Ended up having to kind of take a leave of absence in school, did end up graduating. And then, once I was on my own trying to navigate myself, I was so disconnected from my body and just I moved out to Colorado, and everybody's so like healthy and active, and it just fed all the patterns that I was already working with.
Mm-hmm.
And so, by age 23, I really had hit rock bottom. I was in talk therapy 3 times a week. And, I have a whole opinion about just talk therapy too. I feel like it kind of enabled me in a lot of ways because I was just telling the same stories over and over again. And I just got to this point of like, I need help. I couldn't hold down a job. I was just so all consumed with food and exercise and my body image. And so I checked myself into a inpatient treatment center in Tucson, and it was holistically based. And so I was 23, and that's where I got, this taste of, we were doing body work and energy work. And I was already a yoga and meditation practitioner, but, we were doing movement and yoga and art and nutrition and herbs and flower essences and chanting and nature. It was just, it all came together. And I
Yeah.
was, at that moment, I was like, this is the way to heal, sustainably, quote unquote. So really, that was such a pivotal turning point in my life and along my journey. And since then, I ended up studying body work in a holistically based program, and everything just kind of built on each other. And so, I'm now, however, 25 years past, and to me, that is the most effective way of healing addictions, healing body image stuff, healing eating disorders. And I have just kind of created my own way, drawing from all that I learned at that, pivotal time in my life.
So, with that, I mean, you were fully immersed in all of that for a duration of time, and that was like, pow. My question is, now when you're working with other people, have you found kind of an ideal window? Like, if you need to be connecting with me and doing practice or for once a week for 6 weeks, or have you found anything that's just really been one of the best brackets of time or anything like that as you've been doing this with others?
It's a good question. And, everybody's different. And it really depends on how far in they are and how willing they are to do the work outside of our sessions. If you're going to choose to not be in that immersive environment, you're right. I mean, I was there for 2 months, and then I did outpatient. I was living close to the retreat center. Retreat. It was not a retreat. It was a treatment center. That was not, there was nothing pleasurable about it. But yeah, I mean, I have people who work with me for years. I just had a woman like part after 3 years, and that was the magic time for her, and she was ready. The work demands work. I mean, nobody can do it for you. And so, if somebody's really struggling, definitely once a week, and you need to give it time. It's not a quick fix. And that's the piece that I feel like is so different in this sustainable way of healing, is that, it takes time, because you're creating a whole new pathway of being. And there's forward momentum, and then you move backwards and forward and backwards. And to have that consistent support, I have found, is key. So there's no like magic anything. But what I can say is that it's not for everyone. Some people do want a quick fix. But, to me, it demands time. And I'm always like, the people who have the most success working with me are at least a year, you know? So,
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that
I
makes
get
a lot
that.
of sense.
I totally agree. I love everything you just said, because I've believed that is the way to true healing. And those specific things that you were saying have really just been kind of popping into my consciousness, whether it's like in a post I'm reading or just coming up with people walking into my practice too, of just like, yeah, people wanting a quick fix. I just can't do it. And I think it's interesting, and you've had your own journey as a practitioner of when you start to realize that as well, that, well, that's not the people I can help, and that's okay. Because like you said, some people do want that, and that might be their journey or just where they're at the time. But I think that's cool. And I think I always say to people too, a lot of times with any sort of quote unquote therapy program, it's going to take you maybe a while, maybe even a few months before you're really even honest with what's really going on, right? And I'm sure that's part of what you're saying with the sustainability. Like, it takes a while for us to really, whether we realize it, maybe it's just all stuck in our subconscious, or just to feel comfortable to be really raw and honest with somebody. So I love that. And I think it's so great that you're putting that out there to start with, for people like, yep, this is what it is. And confidently saying, even as a provider, like, this is what it's going to take. And to heal holistically is not the job of anyone but your own, right? No one can do it for you, but just be a support. So that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, it's like building a relationship, so it does take time. And so, if somebody does come and they're like, okay, I want to do 3 sessions, I'm like, well, you can, it's not going to hurt you, but not much is going to shift, unless you're just willing to, dive deep immediately. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I think more and more people do want, I think this time has really brought to light and to the surface. A lot of people are like, I'm done with like living so dysfunctionally or, in
Yeah.
a wicked way or whatever it is. And so, I feel like it's like the prime opportunity to do some deeper work. And why not? Life is short. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I see that a lot too with people. And I feel like I say all the time to people, I'm like, we're the first generation that's really been in therapy. Right. And so I think it's so cool. Like a lot of people are really diving into it too. And having those exact same conversations of like realizing the generational trauma and the epigenetics and like all the science behind what we already knew coming to light. And I think a lot of people are feeling that, like, I know myself, like, I don't want to pass anything on to my kids. I don't want to see those patterns continue. So I don't really have a choice but to do the work. Like it just needs to be done. And realizing then it's not even all of our stuff. Like some of it is just all the stuff handed down, but we're in the place to have a lot of great tools and resources to work on it, most of us. Even if it's not like the financial resources, but just the way the world is, there's YouTube, there's Instagram, like there's lots of ways to just like kick off that inner discovery. So it's interesting time. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want to know what happened for you in like then becoming pregnant, and where were you at your journey and did that? Because I've known many women who have suffered with eating disorders, and sometimes pregnancy is more of a trigger. And for other people, it's really great for them. They're like, yay, I can not feel bad about gaining a bunch of weight. And other people, it's like, no, this is really detrimental. And then they actually kind of backtrack. Or what was that like for you? Or what have you seen for other people to be more supportive? If we had any, moms out there who are pregnant, who've had this in their history or any of that.
That's a great question. Nobody has ever asked me that. I love that.
Ooh.
So my son, his birthday is actually Sunday. He will be 13. And, I mean, history is that I was in a very abusive marriage. So I can say that the eating disorder played a role in the challenges of my pregnancy, but I think it was also a combination of the environment I was in. But being pregnant was really hard. It was really hard. I gained a lot of weight. I didn't feel well. I didn't feel supported. I thought I was going to be this goddess dancing mama queen, like loving the pregnancy belly. And, no, I felt like I was going to like throw up most of the time. The first couple of months, all I could eat was like bread and peanut butter and cheese and like nothing green. Like I would like gag if I like saw a vegetable. So it was really difficult, and definitely, I can't say I relapsed necessarily. That term is tricky for me, especially in the realm of eating disorders, because I'm always like, eating disorders are the hardest addiction to get over because you have to eat, you have to learn how to eat. So, even down the road, if I would have a harder day or something, I was like, I'm not going to categorize myself as relapse. I'm just having a hard day. I'm going to keep moving forward. So, the pregnancy was difficult. I gained 50 pounds, and then I had a home birth, and again thought that was going to be this beautiful magical thing, and it just wasn't. It was very, very hard, very traumatizing, for the whole picture. And again, I didn't feel supported. And then I was in this postpartum land where I was huge with this tiny little baby who didn't sleep, and so it's a blur. And I wish that I had sought more support. I wish that I had asked anyone, anyone to help, to let somebody in with the fact that I was really struggling. I was really felt very depressed during most of my pregnancy and did not like getting bigger at all. So yeah, I wish I had some words of wisdom around that. I think the biggest piece here is to be honest and be real with your mama friends, like if you are struggling to get that support.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, society doesn't help make it easy to ask for support during any of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think same thing. I mean, it paints this picture that, we all do want to be like loving it and being this beautiful experience. And it's just not. And I think but it's hard to be honest about that because, right, there's all the things you should be grateful. Like you're pregnant, enjoy the feeling, all these different things. But I was the same way, felt really sick a lot of the time and I didn't enjoy being pregnant. And it even makes me feel a little bit bad to say it. But I think there's a lot of women that feel that same way, that they love it in a way because they love their children, but it's difficult. It's a difficult thing to be pregnant, especially because we're still expected to do a lot of stuff, like go to work and clean the house and be responsible for other things when we're doing this really big, amazing thing.
Right.
So yeah, there's lots of layers to it. So I think you are helping people just by being honest and listening and just not judging anyone's experience, right? And just, yeah, I think there's so much power in that.
And not comparing,
Yeah.
I mean, I see still in myself, I'll see somebody on Facebook or whatever, and I'm like, oh, look at how happy they are. They're pregnant and beautiful and their partner's so supportive. And then they have their baby and they're posting all these like pictures, their baby's like in these perfect clothes. And, and that was just like, so not my experience, but there's no point in comparing, it just is what it is. And as soon as we can kind of drop that story, I feel like then we can really move forward along our journey, along our path in a very real way.
Yeah, I agree. Because as Katie was talking, it was making me think about just like that judgment and how each of us just has our own thing. There are going to be the people who absolutely love being pregnant, and there's going to be the people who have support, and there's going to be so I love how you reframed it into the comparing sense, because it's like, yeah, we're not supposed to be these other people.
Right.
We're supposed to be ourselves. And I think that really brings back to like that sustainability and that holistic and that embodied. It's all about you as your magical individual stardust that you are, and how that's supposed to be. And you're not supposed to be. It makes me think a little bit, even just, being in the natural world, there's still these things that like I don't do. Like I have a sports car and I use a lot of gas, and that's not sustainable for the world. Of course, I want my electric car too, but you know what I mean? But I'm taking care of the soil and so it's like this whole thing where even just putting ourselves in these boxes, and it's like, no, the only box I'm going to be in is the box of crystal, because it's the only one that's the most true and has all of my unique facets, and it doesn't fit into any other category.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's true embodiment. I mean, you are who you are. And yeah, I mean, it's like, gets to the point of, and I think the older we get, like, who gives a shit? Are you allowed to?
Yeah. You're good.
Who gives a shit? What anybody else thinks, and like, let everybody do what they're doing, right? And all we can do is focus on ourselves. And I mean, what's coming up for me is, I've been a single mom for 11 and a half years, which is crazy. But I've, have always felt this like stigma and like judgment and, from the outside world, if I should be this way or I am this way, or, so it's been a huge journey and learning for me, in putting all my practices into action around who I am and what is true for me, and what, the embodied, aligned, integral self Alison is, as a single mom, as, raising a boy alone, like, in a very wealthy neighborhood, wealthy community, et cetera. I mean, there's so many different like facets to it, but But what it comes down to is like who we are at our core, at our essence. And really, I don't know, I think you just get to the point, or at least I hope, it's my wish for us all women, that we just don't, that we can just lift each other and support each other and not be in that place of judgment, comparison, longing, whatever it is. So yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. So tell us how people can work with you. I want to hear kind of just what you do. Is it all virtual? Do you have anything in person? And then how can they find you?
Yes. So I work both virtual and in person. Now, if you're local Boulder, I definitely see clients in person, and am running a in-person women's circle drop-in. I also have clients virtual. I work through Zoom. I have found it to be incredibly effective. I was very resistant at the beginning of the pandemic as to how I can translate this work through the screen, but it works.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have had to pivot big time in that. So I also have been running a women's group virtually that, I can say the same thing. I was resistant, wasn't sure how it was going to go, and it's been absolutely beautiful. So that's called the Acceptance Circle, and I have a new round starting in the fall. I also run retreats, and I have one coming up in July in Colorado. And it's a rite of passage, very holistically based: dance, movement, yoga, meditation, women's circles, self-reflective writing, nature, hot springs, all that good stuff.
That sounds
Really
awesome.
good organic food. So that's that. And then what was my other question?
So how do we find you? How do we follow you, see your stuff, and or if we wanted to hop in on any of these things, how do we get in on the action?
So everything's on my website, and that is embodymylife.com. I am also pretty active on Instagram. Again, breaking through resistance on that, but we got to do what we got to do. Enjoy it. I do enjoy it. So, and that is at embody_life is my Instagram tag. And yeah, all the information about the retreats and programs, et cetera, is pretty centrally located on my website. And I offer a free 20-minute clarity call to see if if this work is a good fit. So I encourage, if anything's been sparked, to reach out for that too.
Yeah, I love that. And I'll have those links in here too so people can quick link all of it. I'm so excited for everything that you're doing with the world. It's so important.
Yeah. I am too. I love it. Those all sound really wonderful.
Yeah. And I just feel like it's, well, one, you're the real deal. And two, it's the way to really make something stick, to make that whole life transformation become your new existence. And that, I think, is exactly what you're saying with the sustainability. And that's what's really important, especially when we're dealing with some of these really deeper, harder to navigate wounds and issues and imbalances. So I love it.
Thank you. That's such nice. I love that. The real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say that it's never too late to dive into this work. I have had women come in their 60s, one woman in her early 70s. I mean, it's just, we have to start from where we are, and no matter what has occurred in our lives, there's always the opportunity to heal and grow and transform and really step into our life's purpose, and that is to be, to live a life of alignment and embodiment and integrity. So yeah.
So with that, I just have kind of one more question, which is, who else do you feel a lot of your clientele are? You know, obviously we know you have this great knack and specialty with eating disorders and addiction, and even just getting out of yucky situations for your own personal empowerment. But is there any other, you know, things you want to say out there to be like, hey, you out there listening, you're my people too, you know?
I love that. Yes, you know, it's interesting. I seem to draw a lot of women in midlife. So, you know, in their 40s, early 50s, who are really doing that, the questioning and the deep soul searching, and, you know, lots is, you know, children are getting older, et cetera. They're trying to come back to who they are, you know,
Yeah.
and also early 20s. I have had many college students approaching me, and I've been working with a couple, and it is, I feel so drawn to helping that population because I was such a mess in my early 20s. It was at the crux of all of my, you know, when everything really started falling apart. And so it feels like, you know, a true act of service to be able to usher that generation forward.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I love that. Well, you are so radiant and beautiful and amazing inside and out. So thank you so much for coming. Yeah. And again, I'll put everything in the thing. So if you're looking to connect with Alison, please do. It's, I don't know, it'll bless your life.
Yeah, it was very beautiful.
Awesome.
Thank you. So nice to connect with both of you too. So thank you for all you're doing for the world. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay. Big virtual circle of awesome. Love it. All right. Enjoy your day.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. You can find us on Instagram at Enlivening Musings. Connect with Crystal on her app Pleasure Fairy. Connect with Katie on her website wellnesswithkatie.com. Enjoy.